Welcome to 60 Minutes with Mr. K, a space where we cut through the noise to have candid, thought-provoking conversations with voices that shape how we see our country, our world, and ourselves. This is where we pause to reflect, to question, and to dig beneath the surface, confronting the hard truths, examining the state of our nation, and exploring what it will take to build a Nigeria that truly works for its people. Over the next hour, we'll strip away the easy answers and get to the heart of the matter, because if we are to move forward, we must first be willing to face the truth about where we stand. So my guest today is a man whose name is etched into Nigeria's civic and political consciousness. For more than 3 decades, he has been unflinching on the front line of advocacy and reform, challenging entrenched systems, confronting injustice without fear, and daring to speak truth to power, no matter the cost. A fearless public affairs commentator, a prolific author, and one of the most consistent voices calling for systemic change. He has, time and again, shaken the national conversation, inspired hope in the dissolution, and compelled both leaders and citizens to re-examine the soul of our republic. His words do more than inform, they ignite. They've provoked reflection, unsettled complacency, and called an entire nation to conscience. Welcome to 60 Minutes with Mr. K, my dear brother and friend, Dele Farotimi.
Thank you very much. You scared me just now.
You thought?
Yeah, very scary. You know?
We have a nation that we're all scared about, we're worried about.
Oh, well, I wasn't even scared about our nation.
Yeah.
It's all the pressure to ensure that at least when a man dies, if the dead still hears,
yes,
I hope I'll hear words similar to the ones you just
yes,
introducing me. That was scary.
These are the truth of the matter. The nation is in a dire straits to a large extent, and you have put your life on the line a number of times, speaking truth to power and insisting that the truth must be told.
You know, perhaps the reason why it's possible for me to have done anything of value is because I do not see those things as being done by an outlier. Is what I expect of everybody who aspires to citizenship, because the Nigerian is definitely not a citizen. So I imagine that the least anyone who is conscious of their situation should do is to at least ensure that they don't go into the night quietly. Even lambs should cry.
Yes.
So I'm not doing anything that I don't expect the next person to do. These are very simple things. Just speak.
Yeah. Okay, let me start by highlighting some things. There's a lot of questions that we want to ask you today, and the first thing that came to my mind is, if we ask you the question, what's your thought about the state of the nation? You're likely to say a lot of things. But let me flip it and say to you that the people in government today, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's staff and his spokespeople, they've said very clearly, they listed a number of things. They said there's been economic reform, that the improvement in the area of petrol, that now we have a petrol that you can say, yes, is almost consistent in terms of the supply, that the price of that they're taking away what used to be the one that we described as criminal architecture that is around the subsidy regime, and then they talked about security, that the security architecture, they're working on improvement, that the soldiers are supposedly working. They mentioned infrastructure development. There is a long road from Lagos to Calabar that is there, that they're working on. And then there is the man in Abuja who's also working seriously and consistently, launching new roads and commissioning areas within the state. So as far as the government is concerned, they are working. Well, but is that your thoughts? Because in the midst of all the work of the government, there is still the people that are crying, we're hungry.
You know, When you ask this question, and you've rightly predicted that there is a lot to unpack. But there is this proverb I'm very, very fond of using, and it highlights the issue I need to address. And it deals with relativity. It says, what concern is it of the baboon if the chimpanzee has diabetes or even running stomach? It's not his business. They might look alike, but they are not the same. The government and the people within Tinubu's government and their beneficiaries, they should say what they are saying, since they consider Nigerians to be incapable of determining by themselves and have to be told whether they are hungry or not. The reality is, where were we 10 years ago when the APC government came to power? I know they like pointing at Buhari as being the disaster that preceded this disaster. But the reality is that it's the same APC. There are persons within that government of Buhari that are inside this same government. Somebody like Kiyamo, for instance, of the 712 billion naira airport renovation budget. So they should say that the system is getting better. It is their right to say so. They are enjoying. Their lives are getting better. The average Nigerian whose real income has evaporated will not say what they are saying. The real Nigerian who is spending his salary to fill a car tank, a car that he knows he cannot replace by the time that car packs up because his salary is meaningless, his business devalued. The naira itself, the naira is so devalued that you will probably find more dollars in the Nigerian bank than the naira cash. That is how bad. They're talking about infrastructure development. You see, the problem with us is that we tend to look at issues superficially. A government supposedly serving the people unilaterally awarded the contract for a road to Calabar, coastal road to Calabar. Of all the things required by Nigeria, with almost 20 million children out of school, under the ages of 14, out of school, almost 20 million. That is the population of a lot of countries, both in Africa and in Europe. But we have 20 million brains that we can discard because all they need is to recruit more agberos, more terrorists, more headers, more bandits, more people who are incapable of questioning them even as they destroy the country. So it's okay. They don't need to fix that rot. They don't need to fix the rot in healthcare that has seen almost every doctor of note fled the country. There is absolutely no need whatsoever to take a look at critical infrastructures that have collapsed completely. But of course, we must build a road to Calabar. And people focused exclusively on distilling that attended that contract, because if a contract did not go through due process, it is safe to say it is stealing, brazen-faced stealing. Now, there is an adjunct. In building that road, lands were created, and that was always the add-on that people didn't pay attention to. That road was used to grab people's land. Nobody is paying attention to that. The road was unnecessary. It was not required. There are other things that should take priority. Nobody is talking about that. So when they come out and they'll tell you about all the things that are working, it's working for them. But how much is the Nigerian paying in real cost for what they are saying? So they can be rebasing numbers and tweaking the numbers to make it look good. But have they made our pockets feel better? Can the average Nigerian go to the market and be able to feed reasonably well on their salaries? I doubt if up to 5% of those who earn salaries in this country live on their salaries.
Each time, especially when I speak with people in government, they ask me the same, they give me the same response. So let me give you their response. Are you saying that there is nothing good coming out of this government? Is there anything you can point to that is from this
Oh,
government? Because that's the question that they're asking me.
You know, I think it has now come to the point where I must thank God for the APC, for Tinubu particularly, and for how they have helped. I don't need to say much to show the average Nigerian the level of putrefaction that has now attended every layer of governance in this country. Because of them, it is easy to see the level of impunity that governs Nigeria. Aside from that capacity to show us how low governance can fall in Nigeria, there is nothing they have shown. It's not like they've been any worse than the Buhari regime in terms of policy choices. They were, at least they were, if nothing else, they were consistent in saying that they will build on the ruinous foundations of Buhari, and they've done that reasonably well. Nobody can take that away from them. But when it comes to the impact on the average Nigerian on the streets in their homes, this government has been ruinous. From the Plateau to the Benue Trough to the rainforest of southern Nigeria, Kwara, people are running away from villages. They are abandoning villages in Kwara. The insecurity that they are pointing at is not just that it's worsening, it's that it's spreading. It's spreading. Even within townships, within cities, even Lagos, Ibadan, you are having an upward swing in kidnapping. It's not just about Fulani kidnappers anymore, kidnapping for ransom and all of that. It's not about that anymore. It's become an industry on its own. People can't even walk around freely in cities and they are crowing and talking about how well they are doing. These are real issues that the average man on the street can answer. It's a pocketbook thing. If the thing is getting better, we would all know. It will show up in the price indexes. When we go to the market, we'll see how far our naira can travel. The reality is that naira has evaporated. Even banks are not having it.
Okay, so you painted a picture of where we are as a nation.
It is where we are.
It's clear to see that there are deep fractures in our systems and in our leadership. That brings me to something you wrote recently, a reflection on the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari. You insisted that he should have lived to witness the full measure of justice for what you described as the suffering inflicted on Nigerian people. In your view, what is the deeper purpose of such justice? Is it about retribution, accountability, or the moral duty of a nation to confront its past before it starts to look forward?
You know, because we've been in this mess for decades, what has happened is that Nigeria has created alternative narratives in place of truth. So we elevate villains and paint them as though they are men who have delivered value to society. Muhammadu Buhari pursued power assiduously 30 years after he came back into power. I don't believe in speaking ill of persons who can't defend themselves. It's not about speaking ill of the dead. If you've done ill when you were alive, I reserve the right to speak to your deeds after your demise. He's dead now. So what pains me is that a jury of his peers, fellow Nigerians, never found the opportunity, we were never offered the opportunity to confront him with his many crimes against Nigerians. The pinnacle of that crime, of those crimes, was the Lekki Toll Gate massacre. He was the president and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. What they did is documented. A tribunal confirmed what was done. It is a travesty that even years after the fact, 5 years, almost 5 years now, we can't even say how many people died because government continues to deny the undeniable. In the face of all of the evidence, the government continues to deny it. That alone is scary, that we are in a country where those who are maintained from the public purse are denying the murder of citizens in broad daylight. It's not even the mother alone that has now been denied. The very humanity of those persons, it's almost like you erase them like they never existed. And there are precedents for that. It happened when Abacha was taken over in 93. It happened in Zaria with Buratai and the Shia. Was that Zaria or Confront? I can't even remember. Somewhere in Kaduna State. And then it came in broad daylight and it happened right here in Lagos. That is on one hand. And then what happened in northern Nigeria? We're talking about an elite class. What is it about our country that you can point to and describe as being elite? Nothing. Nigeria, as big as we were, we just got whooped 4-0 by Sudan. That's half a country that was. Where are the football pitches that used to produce good footballers? The school sports system, what happened to it? Is that elite?
So when you look at the Falcons and the Tigress, what do you say to that in terms of...
How many of those people are Nigerian-based? That's the beginning of the putrefaction, the disappearance of every infrastructure that ought to support the production of the kind of men and women that used to represent us in the past. Everybody who can escape, escapes. And most of the time when you need to find talent to do things in the name of Nigeria, they go and bring people who don't even have Nigerian passports but have Nigerian parentage. So Nigeria has been emptied of potential to the point where they can't even find persons within the country. If they make it a condition that the players must play within the country, be born within the country, we'll probably not be able to field teams in a lot of sports.
Okay, we'll take a short break in just a second, but let me ask you, just recently there's been the incident of Kwam having an incident at the airport, and then there's the story of a young lady too who was on another airline that happened, and the entire nation has not stopped talking about it in the last few days. What will be your thoughts about the two incidents that seem similar, but yet the outcome are just so far away from each other?
Okay. I think there are actually 3 incidents, barely separated by weeks. The first was Oshiomhole carrying out his aluta at the airport. Nothing happened. FAN, NEMA, nobody said a word. He went back to the Senate. Kwam, there was enough seen in the public space. And frankly speaking, I think enough has been said as relates to the person. So I'm going to avoid talking to the person for now. And then there was Victoria. That too, unfortunately, a lot of that, even less salutary thing that people should have more brains than to be sharing, got into the public space. So whether we liked it or not, these things are in our faces. A lot of others have spoken to the incident, but I would like to talk to the systemic failure that the entire thing illustrates. I read Festus Keyamo this morning. I read his release, and it even deepened my angst in relation to the entire episode. Because every time the Nigerian elite is caught in a trap that is generally set for all, what then happens is that they must always find a way to open the cage so that that one escapes. But we must look to the issues. K1 got into a flight, at least was about to board, and he had a flask. The question to ask is this: would the British Prime Minister flying British Airways be able to carry a flask, whether it be water or alcohol? That's a different argument entirely. But would even the British Prime Minister be able to carry a flask into the BA flight if he wasn't flying private? He can't. There are VIPs all over the world. And I have zero problem with someone like Wasiu Ayinde being offered VIP treatment. He's deserving of it. But there is a difference between offering a man VIP treatment and subverting a system in pursuit of his personal comfort and preferences. And there is also something instructive about the man standing in front of a plane, seeking to stop that plane from flying. There was no airport security in sight. Nobody bundled him off. Bravo to that pilot. Yes, she broke aviation rules. In my own layman's view, I'm not an aviation expert. At least they said that she did that. And then they suspended her. But Kwamwan went home. And then they announced a 6-month ban. And 6-month ban has now been commuted to 1 month. Why? Because everybody shouted on account of the differential scale of justice in relation to Victoria and Comfort and Kwamwan. Why I mentioned Oshie Omole is to show you that these are the 3 that came into the public view. How many are we not seeing in the public view? The treatment of the 3, the disparities in their treatment, the extreme courtesy with which Oshie Omole was treated in spite of his infantile truancy, the way Kwamwan was treated in spite of what should be above him, or rather, shall I say, beneath him, and then the dehumanization of Comfort. It shows you how Nigeria deals with its people. So when I speak to the fact that you don't have citizenship in Nigeria and that Nigerians are victims and that impunity is the governing system in this country, it always seems so far-fetched. But I invite you to take a look at the tragic comedy that is playing out in our aviation industry and then tell me if I require any further proof of how impunity has destroyed this country, ensure that we have no standards. Even in the resolution of the mess, the impunity came out. Since when did Keyamo begin to speak on behalf of NEMA? FAN, who is responsible for airport security, obviously has multiple breakdown of their system. What is being done about that? Why would the world take us serious if we don't take ourselves serious?
On that note, we'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll continue this thought-provoking conversation with Dele Farotimi, exploring more of his insights on leadership, justice, and future of our nation. Do stay with us.
Nigeria's Middle Belt, the food basket of the nation, rich in culture, heritage, and natural resources. But that appears to be in the past. Now, the Middle Belt is known for attacks, deaths, injuries, displacement, and abandoned promises. It has become a battleground for survival and identity. But the people remain defiant, and change is coming.
They burnt houses.
This August, News Central takes its town hall series into the heart of the Middle Belt conflict.
We will not continue to die in the hands of people helplessly.
We are tired with what is happening in our land.
No person is going to farm till today.
Tune in for the One Middle Belt, One Voice, from conflicts to action and justice town hall. Date, Thursday 21st August 2025. Time, 11 a.m. WAT.
Okay, 60 Minutes with Mr. K on News Central is back, the place where we slow down, reflect thoughtfully, and dive into the ideas that influence our lives and the direction of Nigeria's future. If you're just tuning in, I'm here with Dele Farotimi, a bold advocate for justice and reform, whose work challenges us to rethink governance and demand better for our nation. So far, we've been unpacking the hurdles in our political and social systems and the urgent need for meaningful change. So let's pick up from where we stopped when we had to take a short break. Now let's bring Let's bring our viewers a little closer to the grassroots. You've highlighted the paradox in the states like Osun, where billions are allocated to travel and food, while only a fraction goes to education and healthcare. What does this kind of budgeting reveal about leadership priorities and the value placed on human development? And while we're talking about that, I didn't want to do this, but I'm forced to do it. So while you're answering, I'd like you to think about it. The fact that so many governors are also seemingly aligning with the federal government. And that's partially because of some of the things that they have done.
Well, let me say this. When there is a disconnect between those who govern and the persons they govern, it becomes is easier to find the evidence when you look at the budgeting. In a state like Osun, that's my home state. It's a very poor state in terms of federal allocation, but it's a very rich state in terms of human and material resources. But unfortunately, it has always been bedeviled by people with limited imagination. The only thing I would have expected of the current governor is maybe a dancing competition for the state, but unfortunately, he has not even thought fit to make the state a destination for dancers. But he appears to have found the capacity to travel a lot, and the glutinous ability and capacity of the persons in that state appears to also be evidenced by the sizes of the persons who are in governance in that state. From the governor to the speaker to everybody in that state, they appear to be quite glutinous, because if not, how is it possible to explain a situation where a state like Osun has spent more on air travel and feeding than on primary health care, than on education in the tertiary institutions, and there are persons in that state who have not received their gratuities and pensions, and that state is spending so much to service debt, but it still has enough money to be gallivanting all over the place. Look, it might very well be that there are clear arguments to be had for these travels, but surely the proportionality is suggestive of a governor who is disconnected from the people, to the point where instead of appealing to the people in order for them to vote him into power, he finds it easier to jump on the APC train, so that once you don't need the people, you don't have to do anything for them. If the monies that are being spent on air travel and feeding had been spent on improving primary education in Osun, on improving the rural communities and providing them primary health care centers, those people would have come out to fight for him to ensure that the federal might of the APC would count for nothing. So the question you asked as an adjunct to the first has actually been answered, because if that governor, as with the other ones all over the federation who are busy queuing up to join the failure of Tinubu's APC, they wouldn't do so if they were connected to the people. But they are disconnected from the people, and they have to connect to the ultimate force of impunity in the land, so that they might be returned to power whether the people want it or not. So it's not about the APC having achieved anything, but because the APC under Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not shy about deploying the force of impunity. See, a person has to have shame before they can self-censor themselves. The APC is completely shameless. He has no shame about none of them is ashamed of being called thieves. After all, the chairman of that party was a man caught on video with money being stuffed in Babariga. The politicians you see jumping into it, they are jumping into that party in order to protect the loot, to make sure that nobody carries them. Look at our friend Tambuwa. If Tambuwa did not have any skeleton in his cupboard, nobody will carry him now. See, I'm in my house. Why haven't they come to carry me that I stole money? But they went to carry Tambuwa. If Tambuwa will join the APC tomorrow, like Oshiomhole told all of us in broad daylight, his sins will be forgiven. So what they are doing to Tambuwal, you can call it evangelizing. So they are evangelizing him. They are preaching the gospel of the APC to him. So when he accepts the gods of the APC, you'll find that the EFCC will suddenly forget his file, just like they forgot Akpabio's own, and just like they forgot those of each and every one who you find sat at the high table of the APC.
Okay, I'm lost for words now. I don't know.
It's just the reality.
It seems like, yes, it is the reality. Well, still on the welfare of citizens of Nigeria.
We citizens, please. We don't have citizens. No,
we the people.
The least we can, no, just call us the victims of Nigeria.
Oh, we are the victims.
We are victims of Nigeria. People who are protected by law as citizens. The difference between victims and citizens is the protection of the law. For the law to protect you, you must live in a place ruled by law. Nigeria is a place that is ungoverned by law. It is governed by the whims and caprices of small-minded men, such as the ones who took that girl and decided that she must go to Kirikiri for something not as grievous as that had been done by two Agbayas. Do you understand? That is the kind of country we live in. The Lord be damned. And if you doubted that, by the time Keyamo finished vibrating this morning, I'm sure nobody was left in any doubt. The supervising minister can speak over the FCA and the NCA and what do you call them? FAN. He could speak over NAMA. He could unilaterally reduce suspensions. He could unilaterally reduce bans. No due process, nothing. Because somebody somewhere has decreed that, okay, let the outcome be like this so that all this noise will go away. So in order for that noise to go away, they will do anything for it to go away, and it's not something that started today. So I'm not pinning it on Tinubu alone. Even Obasanjo that you will clap for and say he was the peak of our democratic experiment. How did Abacha's son leave prison in the Abiola, Kudirat Abiola murder case? He gave up money, and the Supreme Court promptly freed him. Is that the charge for murder? So it's not today that Nigeria has all, they walk to the answer when it's not convenient for them. They just do wuru to the answer, and then everybody go home and say no more.
Okay, let's talk about the recent arrest and release of Omo Elisho once again. In your case, they came, some people said they were like justified to your office to arrest you. In his case, he was asked to come and present himself, which he did. And the conversation has been showing that there is a lot of worry about the Nigerian policing. You
don't have a police, you have uniformed thugs. If you say, let me illustrate that. I'm sorry, it will come out. What happens is that I tend to cut to the chase. So let me break it down. In Yoruba language, we call police Olopa. Olopa means the person who is bearing the staff of office. The person who goes, if the king is sending his messenger to go and inform the townsfolk to do something or the other, he will carry the king's staff of office and make the announcement in the name of the king. So essentially, the police is the representative of the state in relationships with citizens, right? But the police is a creation of law. And when it is not bound by law, it is no longer the police. The Nigerian police is not bound by law. The AG and the Inspector General of Police has outlived his time in office. He's an illegal IG. That is the argument that Yele has been making, and I guess that was what got under the IG's skin. So he got under his skin, and he has acted in the manner that every Nigerian big man would act. And how much bigger can you be than the Inspector General of Police? So you have the chief thug instead of the chief police. Because in the absence of laws to uphold, you only have impunity.
You're a lawyer, my dear brother.
I am very specific. I'm sorry. Let me.
When you call
I laid the foundation.
IG
I laid the. No, I have a reason for saying so.
There will be a question
I laid
asked
the foundation for saying so.
Yes.
I laid the foundation.
Yes.
To be a policeman,
yes,
you had to be working in tandem with the law. Abi?
Yes.
I am saying to you that Egbetokun is no longer a policeman. That is the reality. He is in office because Tinubu wants him in that office.
The person you call Tinubu is still the president of the Federal Republic
Not
of Nigeria.
because my vote got him there. He's not. No, see,
Yes.
I think there was a time I was asked the question. You were actually the one who asked the question, is Tinubu my president? And I answered you very clearly. I am trained as a lawyer. I am not an anarchist. Whether I like the idea or not, whether I accept the process that threw him up or not, the reality is that today, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the de jure president of Nigeria. Whether I like it or not, that is the person our system, imperfect, flawed, corrupt, prone to impunity as it is, has thrown up as our president. But beyond that, I retain the right as a conscious being to call what I see what it is, not what my oppressor would prefer that I call it. Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not come through a process governed by the free will of the people. No. A man announced the election result without a basis for announcement, no result from the states shown to anybody, and he blithely told everybody in the middle of the night, go to court. I will not speak to how good or bad that judiciary is. Today is not the need. We've said enough. I've written on that. I've said enough. The book I wrote on the judiciary was ready before the Presidential Election Tribunal delivered its result. But I deliberately delayed it because I didn't want that book politicized. I did not want it to seem as if I was scandalizing the judiciary for political reasons. And the book was not about persons, it's about the system. So he is the president, let's leave it at that. But when he now comes to the actions that he has retained Egbetokun in office outside the dictate of law is beyond argument. The law
says he has the right to
do what?
choose whoever becomes the
within a prescribed. If the law gives you the power to do something, that's the beauty of the law. The law gives you a power and then it sets out the limits of that power and how that power should be used. Egbetokun in office is an abuse of power. But Yele did nothing wrong. It is the thin skin of the Inspector General that led them into the error of arresting him over what? If there is any substance to this, if you have crimes that you want to charge persons with, there are proper ways of doing things. Even if you want to pursue a vendetta, at least do so looking like you are doing the dictate of the law, not like you are just chasing after a man because he's constantly calling you out for being in office illegally.
Okay, well, we'll have to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll just do the final conversation. So please do stay with us.
How do we save this country?
You moved from the APC to the PDP.
Therefore, listen, I'm still paying teachers in Ondo State. If Olabode just should be expelled from the party.
It's an existential imbecility, utter nonsense.
Join me, Dapo Adeboye, on Politics HQ, where Nigeria's political heartbeat is felt. Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. on News Central.
You're still with us on 60 Minutes with Mr. K, the show where we have honest, deep conversations about the forces shaping Nigeria's future. I'm still here with Dele Farotimi, fearless advocate for justice and reform, whose work continues to inspire Nigerians to demand better governance. So let's cut to the chase like you like to do. The Inspector General of Police is still in office.
Unfortunately so.
He is a man that the law recognizes as the chief
No. I
officer.
disagree with you.
The law at
The
moment.
government and the law are not the same thing. The government commits a lot of illegalities, and there are a lot of legal things they also do, but there must be a distinction clearly made. Tinubu's word is not the law. The law is different from the government. The government and the law are not
there
in
is an
tandem on these
executive
issues.
order. What do you
Executive
call
order
that?
cannot be found outside the boundary of law. If your
And if
executive
it is
order,
not questioned by the National Assembly,
which National Assembly? Is the same National Assembly that changed national anthem in 72 hours? They've told you they will do anything they are told by Bulaba. They are not arguing with the president. Anything he wants, they give him. Is that the same National Assembly that didn't have any oversight on the two most meaningful contracts that this government has issued? The Lagos-Calabar Expressway did not pass through any oversight. It wasn't budgeted for. It wasn't in the national budget. The major power of the legislature is the purse. They never saw a budget for Lagos-Calabar Expressway. They saw no budget for the airport renovation. Are those the ones that you are saying that executive? Please, the least we can do to ourselves is to at least tell ourselves some bare-faced truth. We do not have a legislative arm worthy of the name. So if the president, we're essentially in a dictatorship. It is whatever Tinubu wants that Tinubu gets. Monkey see, monkey do. He demands, he gets. If we can't tell this to ourselves, then we can't even tell the truth. What we do about it is different. What it is different. What it is today in Nigeria is that the Nigerian judiciary, the Nigerian police, the Nigerian legislators, each and every one of what should pass for institutions in every other country in the world would do exactly as they are told by the president.
Yeah, that is very worrying. But let's look at where we're going, because now you've created the foundation and you've made it very crystal clear that this is where we are. And it's more than troubling. It's heartbreaking. I can't find any other word to use in describing how troubling this is. So if we want to move on to a way forward, 2027 is coming upon us. And we're looking at a situation where some people said, I think it was some members of APC that said, oh, a bunch of thieves and people that didn't do well in government have put themselves together and said they're joining ADC, and they now think they will be the Messiah of Nigeria, that they cannot be. And meanwhile, those same people said, no, you in government as APC, you're not the Messiah of Nigeria, you have run the country down. So are we in a situation where we're between the hard place and the rock?
Nah. The choices have never been clearer for the Nigerian people. There is no difference amongst members of our political class. And I use the word political class loosely. We neither have politicians nor have people who have class operating in what is called our political space. We essentially have people who do not see the Nigerian as persons to be served. They see themselves as persons who need to be served by the people they are meant to serve. So if the APC person will look at the ADC politicians and say that you are persons who failed at governance, the question is, who are the persons in the ADC? Are these persons, were they not in the APC yesterday? More than 90% of the persons who you point out in what is the ADC today were either in the PDP or the APC itself yesterday. Rotimi Amechi will come out and be preaching the gospel of how to save Nigeria, and he'll be telling, look, they are within their right to say those things they are saying, and that's why I've never been interested in their coalition. It is the Nigerian people who can change this situation.
But Rotimi Amechi said he knows how to win against Tinubu.
To win to do what? That's the question. When they talk about coalitions, the first question I'm asking, and I asked the same question even of the candidate that I supported in 2023, and that I'm likely to be supporting if I'll be involved in the political process in 2027. What do you want to do if you gain the power? You want Tinubu out. Look, saints are not going to come and save Nigeria. Let me just deal with that ADC issue.
So there's no.
It's still Nigerians that will save Nigeria. But the question is this: whether you are in the ADC or in the Labour Party or the AAC or any party for that matter, what does that change mean? You want Tinubu gone. I want him gone as well. We wanted Buhari gone. Buhari went, but what replaced him? Another disaster. So question is this, what do you want? And if Nigerians are looking to the politicians to tell them what they want and to organize them behind what they want, we've lost 2027 already. Anybody waiting for 2027 has already lost 2027, because I guarantee you that Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the INEC as it is today, because it's the same Yakubu that is there. And if Yakubu leaves tomorrow, whoever is going there will still be nominated by this person that was returned by Yakubu. So it is safe to say that in the absence of meaningful electoral reforms, the same thing that happened in 2023 will happen, and that is why you see better informed persons when it comes to politics in Nigeria. And nobody can be better informed than your governors and your senators who are running into the APC. They see how much we detest the APC, but they know that the APC holds the power unless this system changes in determining who is returned as president, governors, and elected officials in 2027. So anybody who is interested in change in 2027, whether those be the ones in the ADC or anywhere else, would need to find an alliance with the Nigerian people. An alliance between politicians will not do anything to move the needle. Tinubu is not going anywhere because politicians found alliances. He will remain in that place, and we will all continue to cry until 2031. Nothing will happen. He is a man very at home with impunity. He has no problem with it.
Are you implying that no matter what the coalition does,
if that coalition does not connect with the Nigerian people to the point where the people themselves are desirous of change and they are willing to stand behind their votes, nothing will change. In 1993, we didn't have IREF. There was no beavers. But we had free and fair elections because the people were tired. They wanted change. Even though it was subverted, they stood behind their vote, and we all knew the result. In 2027, that can only happen if the people are connected to the struggle for change. If all that they are doing in the name of coalition is that they are going to bring that odious fellow from Kaduna, and then they are bringing all kinds of characters that have ruined this country, the one who could even pay my father's gratuity in Osun, that's the one that is calling himself the secretary of the ADC. If it's those ones, they have lost. They need to connect with the people. Without connecting with the people to energize the people to want that change, 2027 is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Without the people, it's a waste of time.
So how do you connect with the people?
It's very
with an
easy.
ADC that you said there is odious one from Kaduna, there is odious one from Osun that won't pay your dad's gratuity.
It's not only, we call him Baba Fusa, that's half salary. Baba Fusa, that was a sub-request. He paid half salary all through his time. My father, if I wasn't able to take care of my father, he would have died years before his death. And that's the one who wants to go and, can that one talk to people in Osun State? He can talk to them. Maybe if they give them money like they usually buy vote, they will come out, they will vote if they can be paid, but they will not stand behind that vote. They will not stand when policemen come with soldiers and their talks. Those people will not, because they were paid to vote. They are not convinced that anything will change as a result of their votes. They are not invested in the process. So they will walk away. But if they are convinced that the future of their children and their own will be enhanced if there is a change in government, if they know what it means for change in education, in the structure of the country, in healthcare, in security, they will be interested because they know what to expect the day after. But you can't just paint them all these pictures. Look at that one in Imo State that was lying to the people that they were going to be having jobs abroad once they won the election. How many jobs have come from Europe for the people of Imo State since they went there? They're always building pies in the sky, and the people have come to the knowledge. There are so many governors all over Nigeria. Nigerians are aware that their politicians are fraudsters. So they have disconnected from the process. Do you understand? So a person who is disconnected from the process is not going to be invested in shifting the current reality unless you connect him to those realities. They are not doing that because they are not really looking for anything to change. Most of them are simply looking to be the ones administering the impunity. Not that they want things to change for the people. If you want things to change for the people, why can't you tell them the content of the change you are promising? Why is it so difficult?
Okay, so we're where we are. We have to wrap up this conversation, and I can say to you, my dear brother and friend, there are some of us who have come to the conclusion that we can't see a way forward.
I can.
What will be the way forward?
Connect with the people. Nigerians are resilient, but they are also persons who have the capacity to draw conclusions on their own. Nigerians are not unaware of the current state of their country. Forget all the lies that they have been told left, right, and center. They can tell when they are hungry. They can tell when they are safe. They can tell when their minds are at rest. And they know they are not right now. If anybody is looking to connect them, he has to show them in clear terms. If we win, this is how we will change things. It might be difficult. There is not going to be an easy path. In education, we already have an educational system that is unfit for purpose. We are graduating illiterates. Teachers themselves are illiterates. And we are not owning up to this truth so that we can address them. Tell the people. Tell them how you will not buy yachts. You will not buy new planes, and tell them what you will do with the money saved. Tell them how you intend to cut governmental waste. You have 36 states. Are we going to continue running 36 states, or these ones are already talking about creating more? Tell the people. Show the people by introducing confidence-boosting measures that their votes will count for something. There is no grand vision ruling Nigeria today. Give them something to pursue. No matter what you say about North Korea, every time you look at them, they will say, oh, they are starving, this one, that one, but they have nuclear weapon. As destructive as it is, that is something that a lot of better endowed nations are incapable of having. They have it under crippling sanctions. They have it. Look at the Chinese. We say they don't have democracy, but they are the most developed country, at least the fastest developing country in the world today. There is a national vision behind which the people are called. Who is calling our people to a national vision? So it's not like the people are incapable of rising above where we are. It is those who presume to lead that are ruining us instead of ruling us. They are not leading anywhere because they are blind.
Okay, so if Peter Obi emerges candidate of any political party, would you still support him?
Not necessarily. It will depend on what he plans to do with power. I'm not following a person. I'm not following man. He's a good man. And insofar as it relates to those who are running for the presidency, as of today, he's still the best in my own view. But the question is this: what kind of compromises might he have made before that? If I don't see a platform that promises me change, deliverable one, I'm not going to follow him. If he is on a platform where I know that he can deliver what he is promising and he will not be institutionally hamstrung by the system that has brought him to power, then I'll follow him. But if I'm seeing a Peter Obi paired with an El Rufai on a ticket, or I'm seeing him with an Amechi, in fact, it's not even possible. But the point is, there has to be clarity as to what he plans to do with power. This illusion of personnel change was sold in 2015, and that was what brought us into the Buhari mess. So how would a Peter Obi on his own, without galvanizing the people behind the vision, change anything simply because he was given office? I need to know what that power is meant for.
Okay. So he has to convince you.
Oh, I have to be convinced. It's not, no, I have to be convinced. I have to know that he is going to pursue change.
And if he plans to pursue change and the system still remains the same, you still have the same national assembly.
You cannot change anything retaining this system. You can't change anything. You can get into power But you must be clear about what you want to do with that power, and you must be honest enough to have declared it so that we can hold you to it. It's not enough to be making silent deals that you change. No, that change has to be on the table.
Okay.
If we had substantive changes to be discussing and debating, we would have stopped debating ethnicity, religion, and all kind of idiocies that tend to occupy Nigerians. The only reason they have time to be discussing inanities is because they don't have anything serious to discuss.
On that note, we have to say thank you, Dele Farotimi, for sharing your fearless insights and deep reflections with us today. We appreciate your courage and passion in holding a mirror to our society and pushing for the change we so desperately need.
Thank
Dele,
you
my
very
brother,
much.
thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Nice having you again.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. And to our viewers, thank you for being part of this important conversation on Nigeria's future. This has been 60 Minutes with Mr. K on News Central, where we ask the top questions, seek real answers, and keep the issues that matter at the forefront. Change doesn't just happen. It starts with staying informed, engaged, and relentless in the pursuit of a better Nigeria. I'm Mr. K. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and God bless you.
Amen.